The horizon burned with the first light of dawn, but for Captain Elena Vargas, it was the fire in her chest that wouldn't extinguish, the kind that comes from watching your homeland dissolve into shadows while you stand powerless on a foreign shore. She gripped the railing of the USS Liberty, the destroyer slicing through the Caribbean like a promise-turned blade as orders crackled over the calms. Proceed to Venezuelan waters. Confront and contain. President Trump's voice had echoed in briefings days earlier, a thunderclap decision to send destroyers and Marines against the Maduro regime and the cartels that fed on its chaos. Elena, a Venezuelan-born Marine now sworn to the Stars and Stripes, felt the weight of two worlds colliding in her veins. This wasn't just a mission, it was a reckoning with the ghosts she'd fled. Elena had been 12 when the first protests erupted in Caracas, her father a teacher who dared to speak against the regime's grip. He'd vanished one night, swallowed by the shadows of unmarked vans, leaving her mother to scrape together a life from scraps. By 18, Elena had crossed borders on foot, her back scarred from cartel enforcers who'd mistaken her for easy prey. America had given her refuge, then purpose, a uniform, a rifle, a chance to fight back. Now, at 32, she led a squad of Marines aboard the Liberty, their faces a mosaic of youth and resolve. Among them was Private Jamal Reed, a kid from Detroit with eyes that still held the softness of someone who joined to escape his own streets, not conquer others. "Ma'am," he'd said that morning, voice steady but hands fidgeting with his gear, "is this going to be like the movies? Heroes saving the day?" Elena had smiled, but inside, she wondered if heroes ever survived the stories they starred in. Aboard the ship, the hum of engines mixed with the salt spray, a constant reminder of the distance closing between them and the Venezuelan coast. The mission was clear: intercept cartel shipments fueling Maduro's hold, provide a show of force to embolden opposition, and extract key assets, defectors, informants, families caught in the crossfire. But for Elena, it was personal. Her mother, Rosa, still lived in a crumbling barrio in Maracaibo, where cartel gunmen patrolled like wolves and regime loyalists doled out food as weapons. Rosa's letters, smuggled through underground networks, spoke of hunger that gnawed at the soul, of neighbors disappearing, of children playing in streets littered with spent casings. "Come home, Mija," she'd written once, but only if you bring the light. Elena hadn't replied. How do you promise light when you're sailing into darkness? As the destroyer neared the exclusion zone, tensions coiled like ropes under strain. Intelligence briefings painted a grim picture. Maduro's forces, backed by Russian advisors, had fortified the ports. Cartels operated ghost fleets, smuggling drugs and despair across the waves. The Liberty's sister ship, the USS Valor, flanked them, Marines drilling on deck for boarding operations. Elena's squad ran simulations, breaching hulls, securing hostages, but the real challenge lurked in the quiet hours. Jamal confided in her during a midnight watch, the stars indifferent overhead. "I enlisted after my brother got hooked on that cartel poison, overdosed in our living room. I thought this would make it right, you know, but what if we just make more orphans?" His words hit Elena like shrapnel. She shared her own scar, the one from a cartel blade that had grazed her side during her escape. "We fight because the alternative is letting the monsters win," she told him. "But remember, Jamal, the people down there aren't the enemy. They're us, just without the choices." First confrontation came at dusk, 2 days out. Radar pinged a cartel vessel, a rusted freighter laden with cocaine, bound for American streets, guarded by regime gunboats. Alarms blared as the Liberty surged forward, Marines scrambling to positions. Elena's heart pounded, not from fear of bullets, but from the faces she imagined on the other side. Desperate Venezuelans pressed into service, or worse, innocents caught in the net. "Non-lethal first," she ordered her team, voices steady over the roar. Helicopters lifted off, spotlights cutting through the twilight like accusations. The freighter tried to run, but destroyers don't chase, they enclose. Marines boarded under cover of warning shots, zip-tying cartel enforcers who spat curses in Spanish Elena knew too well. One, A boy no older than Jamal dropped his weapon and whispered, "Por favor, no soy malo, solo hambre." Just hunger. Elena hesitated, then signaled for him to be detained humanely. In the hold, they found not just drugs, but migrants huddled in the dark, families fleeing the same hell she'd escaped. An NTHAT night, as the ship rocked with the swell, Elena couldn't sleep. She video-called Rosa through a secure line, the connection flickering like a candle in wind. Her mother's face appeared, lined with years of quiet defiance, eyes bright despite the dim bulb in her kitchen. "They're saying American ships are coming," Rosa said, voice a whisper. "Is it true? Will it change anything?" Elena choked back tears. "I'm here, Mama. We're trying." But Rosa's next words pierced deeper. "Trying killed your father. Be careful, Mija. The regime has eyes everywhere, and the cartels, they remember faces." The call cut out as sirens wailed in the background. Another blackout. Another raid. Elena stared at the blank screen, the challenge crystallizing. This mission wasn't just about confronting tyrants. It was about bridging the chasm between power and the powerless, between orders from Washington and the human cost on the ground. Jamal faced his own trial in the days that followed. During a reconnaissance patrol, their Zodiac boat hit rough waters near a cartel outpost. Gunfire erupted from the shore, bullets pinging off the hull like angry hornets. Jamal froze for a split second, the ghost of his brother's death flashing in his mind. The same poison these cartels peddled had stolen his family. "Cover me," Elena shouted, diving into action, her squad suppressing fire while she pulled an injured Marine to safety. Jamal snapped back, laying down rounds with precision born of grief-fueled focus. They extracted under smoke, but the wound ran deeper than flesh. Back on the Liberty, Jamal broke down in the mess hall, fists clenched. "I almost got us killed because I hesitated. What if I'm not cut out for this?" Elena sat with him, sharing coffee that tasted like regret. "Hesitation isn't weakness, it's humanity. Your brother would be proud you're here, turning pain into purpose." Together, they resolved to channel it. Jamal volunteered for the next boarding, his aim steady, his heart armored with resolve. The turning point came under a moonless sky as the task force closed on a regime stronghold, a port where Maduro's loyalists coordinated with cartel bosses. Intelligence revealed a defector inside, a former official ready to spill secrets that could topple key players. Extracting him meant infiltrating under fire, with civilians in the line. Elena's squad was chosen, her knowledge of the terrain invaluable. As they approached in stealth boats, the sea whispered warnings, waves crashing like unspoken fears. The beach landing was chaos. Flares lit the night, Marines clashing with guards in a symphony of shouts and shots. Elena pushed forward, her mind on Rosa, on the boy from the freighter, on Jamal's lost brother. She found the defector huddled in a warehouse, but cartel reinforcements swarmed, turning the escape into a gauntlet. In the heat of it, Elena took a grazing wound to the arm, blood mixing with sweat. Jamal covered her, dragging her to cover while calling for evac. "Not leaving you, ma'am," he yelled over the din. They fought back to back, the bond forged in shared vulnerability holding them steady. Helicopters thundered in, extracting the team and the defector amid a hail of fire. As the Liberty pulled away, the port's lights faded, but the victory felt hollow. Reports came in of civilian casualties, collateral in the confrontation. Elena bandaged her arm in the infirmary, tears mixing with antiseptic. "Did we save more than we hurt?" she whispered to no one. The defector, a weary man named Carlos, overheard. "You gave us hope," he said. "For the first time, the regime sees they're not untouchable. My daughter, she might see a free Venezuela because of this." Recovery brought reflection. The mission succeeded in disrupting cartel routes, seizing shipments worth millions, and bolstering international pressure on Maduro. But the real resolutions were quieter. Elena arranged for Rosa to be extracted in a follow-up operation, reuniting them on American soil weeks later. Rosa's embrace was fierce, her words simple. "You brought the light, Mija." Jamal, promoted for his valor, started a support group for Marines dealing with loss, turning his grief into a lifeline for others. The challenges of doubt, danger, division had been met not with brute force, but with empathy that bridged oceans. And as the Liberty steamed home, Elena stood on deck with Jamal, the horizon now a canvas of possibility. "We confronted more than regimes and cartels," she said. "We confronted the fear that change is impossible." The story of their deployment spread, not as a tale of conquest, but of courage in the face of chaos, of ordinary people from fractured worlds standing together. It reminded the world that true strength lies not in ships or soldiers alone, but in the human spirit that refuses to let tyranny dim the dawn. In the end, the inspiring truth emerged. When leaders send forces to confront darkness, it's the hearts of those who serve, and those they save, that light the way forward. We are all connected in this fight, bound by shared humanity, and in choosing compassion over conquest, we build a world where no one has to flee the shadows alone. The horizon awaits, brighter for our resolve.